You do as Hindash says. I'm just going to pop... That coconut has gone right to the back of my throat. Hello and thank you for clicking on this video. I'm very nervous to do this video, I'm not going to lie. Ever since my Painted by Spencer follow along tutorial, I've been having requests to follow along to a Hindash makeup tutorial. So if you don't know who he is, then you are missing out because he is an incredible makeup artist. Stunning, stunning makeup looks. The reason why I've been nervous is because a lot of the people that he uses are models and they have beautiful skin and features, and I'm not model, so I was really nervous to do this. I think it was more because I know that he does quite a lot of sort of really light makeup and I feel like I need a little bit more than light makeup. I'm following along to his 90s matte makeup tutorial. I'll show you the finished look now on screen of what I'm going to be recreating. At this point, I'm questioning why I'm doing this. So I'm just going to do the exact same format as the Spencer tutorial. I also did a follow on to Mitchell. I do this every time, and I'll pop them down in the description box so you can watch them. I know the reason why I put off doing this for so long is because I actually don't have a lot of the products that Hindash uses, but what I actually explained in one of my other videos is that I wanted to show you that you can follow along to a makeup tutorial. You don't need all the products. It's more about the techniques and the application that people do. No more babbling, we're just going to play the video and follow along with his steps.
Alright guys, so for today's look, me and Liana kind of anticipated that this was going to be a 90s look because she loves that 90s vibe. And as always, I'm going to be starting off with a clean, bare face and going in with skincare. I'm using the Caudalie Beauty Elixir. I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. And applying a generous layer all over her skin and a bit on her neck and just blending that in and massaging it.
So for my facial mist, I'm going to be using the Le Mans Nordic Hydra Facial Mist. And for moisturiser, I'm going to use the Nivea Soft Moisturiser. I actually use this a lot on my makeup clients because it suits all skin types and it is a lovely, lovely moisturiser. I mean, this costs like £1 and I'm pretty sure that Magic Cream costs like 70 or something like that. It's quite expensive.
And I'm going to be following up with the Magic Eye Rescue and putting that underneath the eyes. This is a very hydrating formula which I love for drier skin. For primer, I'm going to be taking the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Primer. And I'm going to be applying that in all the areas that I want to blur and I want to smooth out.
So for eye cream, I'm going to be using the Caviar Anti-Age Eye Cream. I'm just going to pop... Oh, I put a bit too much of that on. Oh dear. I'm just going to put some of that onto my ring finger and just tap it in the same places that he did and then use my fingers to blend it out. In place of the primer, I'm going to use the Becca Skin Love Brighten and Blur Primer. So this is a blurring primer and this is just to make sure all of the pores are blurred. So this kind of makeup look is something very different to what I would usually do. I don't ever really do cool toned makeup looks, so I'm pretty excited.
For foundation, I'm going to be using the Urban Decay Stay Naked Foundation. And it is a beautiful soft matte look. It doesn't feel tight, it doesn't feel heavy or flat.
In place of that foundation, I am going to use the NARS Radiant Longwear. This is in shade Barcelona, and just start really lightly applying that in the same sort of motion that he was. And my body is actually darker than my face too.
Now to further bronze and contour her face, I'm going to be using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation Palette and just mixing a couple of darker shades to add that warmth and that depth to the face. So starting off on the cheekbones and building it up on the temples, on the forehead.
So what I'm going to do is take a couple of foundation sticks for my contour and I'm just going to put a brush onto both of these and start contouring the same way that he did. And he works in layers, so we're going to start off light and then we're just going to build it up in a similar way to what he did, like so. Happy with that?
I'm going to put a bit of the Lucas Papaw ointment on her lips and letting that sink in so that when we get to lipstick, her lips are nice and hydrated. And I'm going to be removing any excess foundation with a bit of micellar water from the eyebrows because I really don't like foundation on the eyebrows.
So I'm just going to take some of the Bondi Sands Coconut Lip Balm and I'm just going to put this on and let it soak in. This is a really, really hydrating lip balm and it tastes like coconut. And I say taste because it does taste like coconut because I've eaten it a few times. Not like out of the tube, like off my lips, you know, I licked it. Oh, never mind. And then to get the foundation out of my eyebrows, I'm just going to spray this spoolie with the facial mist, and I'm just going to run that through just to get any foundation out. I love this spoolie, by the way. I'll pop a link to it down in the description box. It's such a pretty brush, and it's actually a really, really good spoolie as well.
Now, sticking with the foundation, because I really wanted to try this whole range, I am using the Urban Decay Stay Naked Correcting Concealer in 40 NY. And because this is a 90s look, I mean, you can't do a 90s look without a very bright, almost white under eye. And I am staying true to that era by doing that and keeping everything nice and matte and light. So that really bright under eye is pretty much essential for this look.
So for my concealer, I'm going to use the Milani Conceal and Perfect. I'm just going to pop... that coconut has gone right to the back of my throat. I'm just going to pop it in a similar place to what he did. So just all here, out into this section, and then around the nose, around the mouth, and onto the bridge of the nose. And then I'm just going to take the beauty blender. I actually haven't used beauty blenders a lot recently. I tend to use my fingers, and then I actually use like a brush. I don't know why, I never really gravitate towards them that much. I'm just taking the foundation brush to help blend that concealer out, and then blend again with the beauty blender.
And I'm doing a bit of that now with the Makeup Forever foundation that I use to warm up the skin, just to blend in the edges a bit more. If I feel like it kind of ate that contour.
And just add a little bit of that in. You can lose the bronzer or you contour if you are doing concealer last. And then just a quick blend again with the foundation brush.
For cream blush, I'm taking the Nude Sticks Nudies Matte in Body Language. You guys know I love these blushes.
So what I realised when I was getting all the stuff ready for this makeup look was that I don't actually have like a stick blush. So what I do have that I wanted to try out, I've already used this once and I wasn't a massive fan of it, but I'm going to try it again, is the Maybelline Cheek Heat, and this is a gel blush. So I'm just going to use this just so we can get a little bit of a base down the same as him. And like I said last time, I wasn't a massive fan of this, but we are just using this mainly to get a base down for the blush that's going to go on later.
For powder, I want a flawless matte look, so I'm taking the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Powder in Banana Bread. And I'm going to be applying that with a beauty blender because I want that kind of baked under eye feel. That's really pushed into the skin to create a flawless canvas.
Finally, a product that I do have. I do actually have Huda Beauty Easy Bake, and I'm really happy about it. This one is in shade Pound Cake, which is better for my skin tone, and just use that to set the under eye. So we're not actually baking with this, we're sort of using it to set the face. And then he said to take any of the excess off the beauty blender and use it on the rest of the face to get a really nice matte look.
For bronzers, I'm taking the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker bronzer. Now, I don't know why I'm using two different colors. Honestly, I could have just gotten away with using the darker one. Basically, go over all the areas where I've contoured just to set everything and kind of intensify that even more.
So I'm going to take MAC Dark Deep for my bronzer and my big fluffy brush that I always use. This is a Real Techniques one. So I want to get that nice and bronzed up again.
And I'm going underneath the tip of the nose and the bridge. And this isn't going to be my final contour. I'm going to go in with a cooler contour.
A little bit underneath like he did. And just sort of on the bridge of the nose like that. And like he said.
For a bit of cream contour on the nose, I'm taking the Fenty Beauty Match 6 in Truffle and Mocha. Mixing them together and creating a base. So underneath the tip of the nose, on the bridge, very thinly.
So I'm going to use the L'Oreal Infallible foundation stick that I used to contour and just do the same as him, just on the tip of the nose and then just down the sides. I'm just going to use a little bit more of a cooler toned bronzer to set that down, and I'm just going to do again the tip of the nose and down the sides.
For the nose highlight, I'm taking a soft highlight, and this is the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Highlighter in Mean Money and Hustler Baby. And I'm going to be taking the softer side and mixing it a bit with the more intense one.
For my nose highlight, I'm going to take this Colourpop highlighter, and this is a very similar shade to the one he's using, and it's a very subtle but beautiful highlighter. And then right on the tip.
To shape her brows, I'm going to be taking the Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil in the shade number 4. And Liana has great brows. I'm just going to be intensifying them on the outer corners and just really shaping them and give them that 90s feel. And with that, I'm keeping the edges very crisp and precise, almost kind of very drawn in at the end. And in the front, I'm going to be a bit more light-handed and a bit more fluffy with the pencil.
She does have great brows and I do not. So I might need to fill mine in just a little bit more to get that little bit of a fuller shape. Obviously she has different eyebrows to me, so you know they're not going to match perfectly, but I do want it to be a little bit more intense on the outer edge. Do you know what else I love? The fact that like he just makes everything look so effortless the way that he does it. Honestly, I love his makeup. It's beautiful.
Next, I'm going to be setting everything with the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter in Clear. And just running that through the brows.
I'm just going to take a tiny bit of this brow mascara and just run that through to set everything in place.
For an eyeshadow base, I'm taking the MAC Lane Low Paint Pot. You guys know this is my favorite. I love it so much. And I'm going to be applying that all over the lid to neutralize the lid and to create kind of a clean canvas where eyeshadow can really stick onto.
I don't have that MAC paint pot, so I'm just going to take some of the NARS Creamy Concealer in shade Custard and I'm going to prep my eyes with that.
For eyeshadow, I really want to build up a cool toned look, so I'm taking the Viseart Petite Pro 1 palette. And I'm taking that taupey shade, and that's what I'm going to use to build up my shape. So creating an outer V shape and bringing that into the crease. That's going to be my starter shape, and I'm going to be building on top of that color. So think of this step as an eye contour. So you really want to contour the shape of your eye and kind of map out what you want it to be.
So for this, I am going to use a Morphe palette, and I'm going to use this shade right here and take that on a really small brush. This is the bit though where I was like, oh, I never do cool toned. I never sort of do this kind of eye. Just going to do the other eye and then use a clean brush just to blend it out a little bit at the top. And then I'm just going to take this Zoeva brush and just blend that out a little bit.
To break up a bit of that ashy tone that we're getting in the crease, I'm taking the orange color in the Jackie Aina palette, which I think is called Ginger. And I'm going to be diffusing it very lightly.
So to tone mine out, I'm actually going to use what I use for bronzer. It's a really good warm shade and it's not super pigmented, so that I'm going to get that really warm tone. So I'm just going to take that fluffy brush I've just been using, put a tiny little bit and just use that on the edges just to diffuse it out the same way that he has. This step really does help tie the shadow into sort of the rest of the skin and up to the eyebrow.
And going back to my Viseart palette, I'm taking the deeper shade, which is a very ashy brown. And I'm going to intensify that starting from the lash line and building up into that crease. I'm
going to take a darker shade out of the Morphe palette, but still staying in with the cool tones. I'm just going to intensify that darker one we put down. I always go really quiet when I do these follow along tutorials because I'm concentrating. I think I'm happy with that. I feel like if I keep playing around with it, I'm going to end up just going back and forward, so I'm just going to carry on with the video.
I'm taking the Zoeva Caramel Melange palette, which is their tiny palettes, and taking that bone beige color. And what I love about this is it's not a stark white, but it is a very off-white color. It's a bone beige. And I'm going to be applying that all over the lid. So
what I'm going to do, because with blending, I've actually taken quite a lot of the dark onto my lid, I'm just going to clean it up a little bit with some concealer. This step's going to really help just to make that beige eyeshadow pop. So I'm going to use the Zoeva Cocoa Blend palette, and this is shade Bitter Start. Oh yeah, that's very similar. It's probably going to be the same shadow, to be honest, as it is a Zoeva one as well.
And these are the Ardell individuals in medium. Always I'm always using these individual lashes. I love individual lashes, but they are quite time consuming, so I do have some of the Ardell knotted flares and also the Primark cluster lashes. So just for ease, I'm going to use some of the cluster lashes and a mixture of some of the Ardell ones for further into my eye. Individual lashes and cluster lashes are a pain, but they do have a really beautiful effect, so they are worth getting stressed over for. I think nearly 10 minutes it took me to do that. Now dipping back into the two cool tones that I used, and I'm going to be going on the lower lashes just to tie everything in. I'm not going all the way in, I'm kind of going halfway. He didn't take it all of the way, so we're not taking it all the way either. You do as Hindash says. For blush, I'm taking the Cover FX Monochromatic Blush Duo in Soft Peach. And I'm going to be tapping that in between where I contoured over the temples, a bit on the nose, just to warm everything up.
I'm going to use the Lottie London blush, and this is in shade Serene, and apply it in the same way that he is, just to help warm up the face.
And to contour, I'm taking the Dior Backstage Contour Palette and taking the cool tone and the darkest tone.
I really thought we was done contouring at this point, but I wouldn't usually do it in this order, but we're going to do it. So I'm just going to take this cooler tone that I used for my nose earlier, the Kiko bronzer, and I'm just going to contour your line. I guess the thing is with doing it like this is you are going to get a little bit more of a contoured look, because a lot of the powders and the blushes and stuff like that we've already put on has probably taken away a lot of that contour.
For a lip liner as a base, I'm taking the Pat McGrath Contour Lip Pencil, just to add that shape and kind of map out the lips. And I think overlining was essential in the 90s regarding your lip shape. For a deeper color, I'm taking the KKW Beauty 2.5 lip liner and going over the edges again.
So I'm going to use two liners, and they're both two Morphe ones, and I'm going to take the lighter one, which is Sweet Tea, and just go around my lips. I don't have as full lips as her, so I probably will overline a little bit. And then I'll take the darker one, and this is Bite Me, and I'm just going to go over that and really line the lips.
Lipstick, I'm taking the KKW Nude Cream Lipstick in Nude 2.5.
Something that I thought looked really similar was the MAC Peach Stock, which is what I have. So I'm just going to tap it on the same way that he's doing it.
For a highlighter, I'm taking the Ofra Cosmetics Rodeo Drive highlighter. Now, I'm not going too intense with this highlighter because I want to keep it fairly matte, but just a tiny hint on the high points of the cheekbones. And setting everything with my favorite matte setting spray. This is the Makeup Forever Light Velvet Air.
For highlight, I'm just going to take this gold toned one out of my Carly Bible and BH Cosmetics. I'm just going to take this on a little fan brush and just do it in the same way that he did, just sort of at the tops over here. Very subtle. Just popped on a little bit of L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara on the bottom lashes because I think she's got it on, but it wasn't on the video. And then to set the face, I'm going to use the Garnier Rose Soothing Glow Mist.
And this is the final 90s transformation look. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video because I loved doing this and I love the 90s. And I mean, I love a good shimmer on the lid, but this reminded me of how beautiful an all matte look is.
And here is the finished look.
In the echo of your silence, I only hear what's best for me. Yeah, in the echo of your silence.
So I really enjoyed doing this. I had so much fun. The thing that I don't want people to get confused about when you watch these videos is the idea of these videos is to follow along with another artist and look at their techniques and tips and tricks and the way they apply products. I just really want people to understand that. Like, someone commented on one of my other videos saying it doesn't look the same, and I'm like, well, it's not going to look exactly the same because it's a different person, it's a different artist, it's different products. Like, these are follow along tutorials where I do the makeup on myself, so I mean, excuse me if it doesn't look exactly the same. And I'm actually really pleased with it. So let me know what you think down below. Be nice. No, I'm only joking. But if there's any other artists that you want me to recreate, comment them down below as well, because like I said, this one was a requested one. I do have someone else in mind that I would really like to recreate one, so that'll be coming in the next few weeks. If you want to see more, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you here again very soon. Thank you.
Let me feel your love again, 'cause I've been running round in circles screaming out your name.